Hey, I think we're on. How you doing? Can you see me? Can you hear me? What's going on here? Look at my hair. Oh my goodness. Uh, Chat's over here on the other screen. So let's see if we get anybody to come in and chat. Hope so, at least. Says I'm live. So I'm hoping that this is actually telling the truth. All right. How y'all doing? Well, I'm assuming that you can hear me. Not really sure if that's true or not. Let's see if I can make this chat screen like huge. Somebody says, I see you. Can you hear me? Yes, I am live. Can you hear me? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, good. That means this is actually working, and I have this set up where I can read your comments. So hi, everybody. How you doing? Let me see what I look like when I'm reading your comments. Okay, I'm just looking down. I didn't want to make it look like you just see my forehead because I'm using my work setup, and this is like no plans, no nothing. This is just hi, how you doing? I figured I would jump in and say hello and see who was out there. Hello, DOS Boss. How are you? Boy, you must be having the same kind of Sunday afternoon I am because I got like nothing to do. Loud and clear. Thank you so much. Flying tux. Frying tux or flying tux? Yes, that's what that is. So how's everybody doing? The whole idea behind this is just to, I don't know. I made a video today about some speakers and I put it up, and those never get a whole lot of views. And I was kind of going through the comments on that and stuff. And it's sort of like I got to the place where I was wondering whether anybody was out there. Thank you. Nice speakers. Yes, they were. Hi. Tell your friends. We're going to be hanging out here for, I don't know. We'll do this for a little while. Like I said, there's no plan here, boys and girls. This is just, I bought an Ethernet cable the last time I did this, which was in the spring. And I said I was going to do some more because the last time I did these, I did them through Wi-Fi and they kind of broke up. So I got me this big, long Ethernet cable so I could reach the router and that sort of stuff. You are very welcome for the SSD tip, and very much so. Anyway, I bought this long cable, and the idea was that I was going to be able to do a bunch of these live streams, and I never did it. I just didn't do it. Hey, Joe, enjoyed your Linux videos you made. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you watching them, believe me. Greetings from Sweden. Hello, Sweden. How are you today? And yeah, so anyway, the whole idea here is just to sit back and chat. So, you know, and just talk about all kinds of stuff. I have not been posting a lot of videos lately. And the reason why is because I have been very busy with my job for the radio station. I think I talked about that in the last video I did. And it takes up a great deal of space in my head. Uh-oh, I saw what distro am I running right now? Linux Mint 20 on this machine that we're doing this from. All the other, yes, I'm well. Thank you very much. Hi, guys. Hello from the Netherlands, too. Nice to see you. Okay. Listening through your Mission Hi-Fi speakers. Okay. Anyway, and it takes up a lot of space in my head. It takes probably about an hour to get ready, and then it takes like 2 hours, 3 hours a day to put the show together. And by the time I'm done, I just don't want to talk anymore. Let's see. Somebody talking about getting the BIC two-way speakers. Cool. From Parts Express. BIC is good too. I've been looking at those. Been looking at those for sure. Let's see. Hey from NC. Well, hey to you too. Chris, how you doing? Thanks for hanging out. Greetings from Morocco. Wow. And the UK. Awesome sauce. It's just amazing. I never announce these things. I just throw them up and make them happen, and then they go on. and that's just awesome. Can you hear me now? Yeah, pretty much. Let me check. Let me switch my screen here, and yeah, I'm in the middle. Okay, let's see. I got this time around so I can read the chat without disappearing. You know, like when you guys see my head and a bald spot and everything. I actually put it on another desktop and blew it up real big. So yeah, now I don't have to squint quite so hard. Well, hello from Maine. Let's see. We got one from Croatia. Hi, how you doing? That's all the way halfway around the world. Oh, man, from Austin, Texas. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Got one from Arizona, I see. That's Esnix. How you doing, Ezra? I've been watching your stuff, man. I don't comment a lot, but I watch. You know why I don't comment is because I watch it on the big 4K TV. And a lot of the times I think, oh, I got to go comment on that. And when I just forget to actually go to a device where I can comment. So hello from Michigan. Hi, how you guys doing? Hello, Italy. Wow, all over the world. And just throw these things up and see what happens. So anyway, so if any of you guys have questions that you want to throw at me, something to talk about, that would be great. There's absolutely no topic here. That's why I just put in the title, What's Up? So I got one here from, where is this? Hold on. Blightly. Okay. Don't know where that is, but that's awesome. Hello from the Netherlands, and thank you for the videos. You are very welcome. The most boring suburban American town. Really? You live there? I thought I lived there. What do I think about Mac OS? I don't think of it much at all, to tell you the truth. I've never been a Mac person. Never used a Mac in my daily life. The last time that I used a Mac, it was running OS 9. So what is the cat thing hanging on my wall? Cat thing. Oh, over there by the stove. It's just, I don't know what it is. Decorations, I guess. Let's see. Sounds So Alive. He does mostly single board computer stuff. No, I don't do the ETA Prime channel. I don't. Let's see. What else we got here? Hello from Montreal. Hi there. You guys have already gotten snow, haven't you, up in Canada? I follow a bunch of YouTubers in Canada, and you guys got snow a couple days ago. I don't know whether in Montreal. Somerset, England. Hello there. Let's see. What do I think of I guess you mean ZFS versus Bash. I don't really mess around with other shells, and the reason why is because I teach Bash. And if I start fooling around with other stuff, then what might happen is that I might get used to it. I might start liking it. And then I'll get confused. And Bash is going to work pretty much at every Linux system you sit down in front of. So I kind of stick to it in my videos and personally, and just try and make things happen here. Raspberry Pi, any thoughts? People have asked me a lot about Raspberry Pis, and I just don't play with them. I don't have, it's not because I don't prefer them or anything. It's just I tend to run my old junk hardware and don't have a lot of time to play with Pis, but I find them very interesting. Hello from Tennessee. Hi, how are you? Let's see. Can I make use of those old speakers I'm tearing out of the screen for, well, sure. Magic mirrors, or I don't know. See what they're like. If they work, they work. Go for it. Know what I mean? What do I think about banning? Banning YouTube DL. Yes, I saw that. Where, who was it that came along? The RIAA has banned YouTube DL, which is a download program, and they had it pulled down from GitHub because they said it was used to violate copyright. I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, because YouTube DL is a tool. and it can be used for so many different things. It's not just about downloading videos from YouTube that have music in them to redistribute them. That's ridiculous. Who does that these days anyway? I mean, a Spotify membership is free and you can get it on any device. And you can go to YouTube and you can type in any song title, past, present, and you can watch it or listen to it. Why do you need to quote unquote steal it? You don't. Just that's all there is to it. It's ridiculous. And hopefully that will shake itself out and we won't hear about that anymore. Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's try and answer this thing from Jay from Ohio. As a radio engineer, I'm wondering if you have ever tried Rivendell radio automation. It runs on CentOS. I have not tried it, but I have heard of it. I have had no reason to use it. The radio station that I work for is using Wide Orbit, which is a Google product, and we have mixed feelings about it. Let's see. It's still on the dev site. You can get it, and it's also in the repos for Ubuntu and every other distribution on the planet. So whether or not it's up on GitHub or not, it's not like, I mean, do these people, they're just making a political statement. It's not like the software is going to go away. I mean, I have it too. You just go download the deb directly and hang on to it, or the RPM file, whatever you use. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's see. Watching from Ireland. Hello, Ireland. Yeah, very nice to see you there. You know, I've had some really good friends that I have run into on the internet through the years from Ireland, and I'm convinced that you could dump me out of an airplane with nothing but a parachute, otherwise completely naked, and drop me in Ireland, and I would be all right. That somebody would come along, they'd give me something to wear, and they'd give me something to eat, and help me try and figure out how to get home. They're the most generous people in the world. Let me look at my thumbnail once again, make sure. Yes, this is working out nicely. Okay, this setup works. This works nice. Waiting? What are you waiting for? What would be your recommendation for an OS simply for a music server? Whatever you want. Something lightweight. Ubuntu Mate would be nice. Kind of stays in the background, or Linux Mint, or whatever you want to play with. Because if it's just going to do one thing, it really doesn't matter what the operating system is, as long as it sort of takes care of itself. Ubuntu has the ability to make it so that it will install the secure updates in the background if you don't really care about that sort of thing and you don't want to keep up with it. So that's kind of useful. Let's see, what else have we got? What was my first Linux distro and how did you come across it? That's a good question. My first Linux distro that I ever saw was Open Caldera 1.3, which was back about 1999 at Gateway Computer in Hampton, Virginia. They had a machine running in the computer lab there. And I got very intrigued with it, but I didn't get a chance to play with it. So I started playing with Linux in 2006 or 2007, and it was Ubuntu. That was my first real introduction to it. I had looked at Red Hat and read a bunch about it up to that point, and just never, I was too busy doing other things. The first Unix operating system I ever used was one called Basis, and that was back in the late 80s, and it was on like a mini frame computer. It was this radio station I worked for, had one of those. So yeah, let's see, what do we got? Have I ever had to read data from a serial port in Linux? No, I have not. I've had to do that in DOS, and years ago, and it was an interesting thing. We put a terminal in a DOS machine and set it off in a corner in a radio station I worked at, because we had this satellite network that was sending us logs every day and other information by this digital subchannel. Came down the satellite, came out of the back of the satellite receiver, and you used an RS-232 port. And so we had to set up this machine to gather that information and save it in files so we could print it later. I think it was in 8086. So that tells you how long ago that was. So let's see what we got. Other stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Caldera was good. I have a book about that written by a fellow named John Ray. It's kind of a Learn Linux in 10 Minutes book, which was one of the first books I had. And that's what he does the whole book about, was Open Caldera. And it's wild how much stuff has changed since then. You know what I mean? Come to the dark side, join Arch. I have nothing against Arch Linux. I'm just extremely lazy. Do you carry a bootable USB for last minute work on someone's computer? Only if I know that that's what I'm going to do. What I do if I go somewhere is I used to carry a laptop with me, and that laptop is now somewhere else. But I used to have a Dell Studio laptop that if I knew I was going to go somewhere and be gone for a while, I'd carry it with me and then hook up to Wi-Fi, and I could just keep doing my thing. I'm your favorite old person. Thank you, Abby. I'm not quite sure whether I should be happy about that or not, but okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Have I tried, what is it? From a long, long time ago. No, I don't recognize that. I'm sorry. Let's see. A great book about Bash. The Linux Command Line by, his name is Schatz, William Schatz. That's one of the best books there is. It's in the 4th edition. You can download it from the, I think it's commandline.org. You can do a search for it. You can find it real fast. Great book. Great book. I have no idea what my Pixar movie title would be. Probably, what the hell? You're the reason I've been using Linux for 3 years. Well, I'm sorry about that. Hope everything's going well. Let's see. I deleted. Let's see. I did Distro Hop Fever 3 years ago, and I'm still using Manjaro. Yeah. I don't hop anymore either. I went through a period where I hopped around a lot, and now I don't. The last time that I hopped was from Ubuntu to Linux Mint, and that was to do a video about Linux Mint. And one of the main reasons I've stayed with it is that it just works, and I've had no issues with it. I didn't have any issues with Ubuntu before, and I just kind of like the way it looks. I like the old school look. I have it set up to look like old Linux Mint. What do you think? When will you look at MX Linux again? I have no idea. You know what, gang? I need to get me a machine that I can do virtualization on. I have had a devil of a time for the last few years doing virtualization and making it so it runs well enough to be able to take a video. Now, the machine that I'm streaming from, this is a really old machine, and it's got a really old set of Xeon processors in it. It's 2 Xeon processors and 8 cores each, and it doesn't play well with VirtualBox or GNOME boxes or VMware. None of them work on it. So this is my main machine that I would ordinarily be doing videos on, right? So I set it up on my son's gaming laptop, which is an Asus with an i7 in it, and that should work fine, right? Doesn't work real good over there either. So at some point, I'm going to have to like find me whatever the best processor is for virtualization and build me a machine that I could make videos on and look at distros. But I haven't really, every time you do one of those videos, it turns into a political argument. So I'm kind of out to sea, Have I ever used Kali? No, I have not used Kali. Kali is a testing distro, and I stick to good old boring desktop Linux. I need a Zen setup with plenty of CPU cores. Okay. Explaining computers? Yeah, I watch his stuff. I watch the stuff that I'm interested in. Isn't a Xeon a server processor? Yes, it is. The machine that I'm using is a Dell T5400, which was part of a line of machines, the Precision line, and they still make something like it. They're pedestal servers that have desktop graphics and sound in them. So you get the best of both worlds. and they're dirt cheap on eBay. You can buy these machines for $300. Like the one I've got's got 32 gigabytes of ECC RAM in it, and they're tanks. It's a server. You can run it 24 hours a day. You can't overheat it. You can't kill it. It never dies. Just about to have a look at Ubuntu 2010. I'm not even going to bother, to tell you the truth. And the reason why is because the Ubuntu interim releases to me are just kind of boring these days. There's not much change going on. So anyway, if you encrypt your SSD with LLKS, should I have 10% of it? I have no idea. That's a good question. People have been asking me lately, I mean, like to the point where I'm about ready to do another video about it, about SSDs and Linux. I don't know why. For the longest time, I never heard anything about SSDs. People didn't ask me stuff. And now, all of a sudden, out in the middle of nowhere, it's like, SSDs. Do I need to configure something special for my SSDs? If you're running Ubuntu or Linux Mint or Debian, you don't have to do anything. It's all done. The installer detects that you're on an SSD. It aligns the partitions. Everything is, you're fine. And with the latest SSDs, if you look at the warranty information on those things, they're guaranteeing them for 5 years, which is about the same or better than they're doing for the spinning drives. So it's not like it used to be where you were worried about burning up your SSDs. These days, if you buy a high quality SSD like a Samsung Evo, which is what I'm running in this machine, or the new SanDisk 3Ds, they're really good. You don't have to worry about them. I mean, in order to like meet the limit of, it's like the last SSD I bought, 500 gigabyte drive, and it was, let me see if I get this right, 200 terabytes or 5 years, whichever comes first, and it's 200 terabytes written. I went off and did the math on that. You'd have to write 109 gigabytes worth of stuff every day to make it to 5 years. So no problem. I don't even think talking about John Spoonamore here. Hey, John, how you doing, man? I'm glad you're here. I didn't even think to talk to you. John is usually my moderator, and I didn't tell John that I was doing this, but you found it, so thank you. Because I don't know, I didn't think about it. I just did it. This was really spur of the moment. But anyway, John said that. Now, yeah, what I do for data storage, I don't really store a great deal of data. What I do is just keep backups. Keep lots of backups. So no big deal there. I mean, if you have scads and scads of media, yeah, you'd probably want to put those on spinning drives for sure. Let's see. SSD prices are low. People are using them more and more to replace hard drives. Yeah, I had a whole bunch for years and years. I've been talking about all of these server drives that I got from somebody a while back, and they were Western Digital Caviars. And boy, let me tell you what, they have served me well, and I've been in all these machines. And finally, the last one that I had, the temperature started going up, and it started slowing down, and I knew it was time to go. So I replaced it with an SSD. What is my outtake on the whole YouTube DL issue? I talked about that earlier, but I will say it again because it's short. You know, if you missed it earlier, that's fine. It's a political move, and it doesn't matter. The RIAA, for some reason, has zoned in on YouTube DL, thinking that people are downloading videos to, quote unquote, redistribute them and somehow rip people off, which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, people don't even buy physical media anymore, except for records. And that's like, what, 1 or 2% of the people who actually consume music. And every song that you could ever want to hear, new or old, is on YouTube. Just type in the title and it's right there. So why do these people care? It makes no sense. So, I mean, and it's not like it went away because it's still in the repos. Download the deb and keep it. It'll work for years to come. What do I think about external mirrored RAID of two SSDs? Worth buying? I don't know. I don't know, truthfully. If if I was going to do a RAID setup and it was going to be an external setup, I'd probably use really good spinning drives. Not because I trust the SSDs less, but because RAID is slow, usually, unless you do like a striped RAID for making it fast. So why not just use the spinners? What do I think about? Okay, I already answered that question. Just bought the first 10 Chicago albums on CDs. No, I buy CDs all the time. Thank you very much. I keep adding to my CD collection, even though I keep telling myself I'm going to stop, but I can't resist. And eBay calls out to me, and then I buy new CDs. Yes, it is a thing about just flexing power. I believe I agree. I like your handle there at the alternative. That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just to get attention. That's all it is. But the RIAA is an obsolete organization anyway. So. Many years ago, you advised against dual booting Windows and Linux. Does it still hold up today? More so than ever. I don't trust Windows 10 as far as I can throw it to do anything, and I don't want it sharing time on my computers with just no, don't do it. I mean, if you're an expert, PC people don't get this, and I've said this in videos, and it's always somebody comes along and says, I've dual booted for years. Great. I'm happy for you. The problem with dual boots is that historically they were really easy to set up with just a couple of clicks, and you'd get somebody who didn't know diddly squat about computers to set up a dual boot. And the next thing that would happen is something would break and they wouldn't know how to fix it. And then they'd take it to some shop somewhere and they'd spend money. And the guy behind the counter, which you will find a lot of times in shops, is they'll say, don't use Linux, because they're scared of it and they don't know anything about it. And then they get a really bad vibe off of Linux, like it messed up my computer, when in fact it was just that they dual booted. And that whole scene's just very uncool to me. And I like to keep things simple. I would rather have an operating system run a single machine instead of switching back and forth. And it gets into all kinds of problems. I still buy CDs, rip them as FLAC files on my PC, then convert them. Yeah. Oh, you're very welcome. I'll share my thoughts on anything. Would be better to use a NAS if you're going to make a RAID. Yeah, I agree. Use a NAS. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I'm just trying to hang on. I'm going to read your stuff here for a minute, dudes. Yes, I'm very happy that Linux Mint has started to compile Chromium too, John Spoonamore. We talked about that the other day, and I went and put a comment on my video about Linux Mint. That's what they should have done from the start. But they did that to make a political statement, which rubbed me the wrong way. I got to be honest with you. Not that I'm going. I'm not really particularly happy about Canonical distributing Chromium in a snap either. That's not the point. The point is that don't do things that users who have no idea what's going on, and that's going to affect them. That was my point there. So that was real fun. That was like sticking my hand in a hornet's nest when I did those videos. Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. I'm looking for questions. Somebody wants to know how to become a system engineer. Go to the Linux website and see what it takes to get the certificate, which is some classes that you got to do, and then you have to take a test, and you can be a Linux Foundation certified sysadmin, or you can just look for jobs and try and talk them into making you think you know what you're doing. That works too. Greetings from Poland. Hello there. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. I certainly do appreciate it. Radio question. Any reason why a well-established station would suddenly change their position on the dial to a lower wattage frequency that can't be heard around town? I will tell you the reason. I don't know, but I can tell you that the reason why was probably that the station was bought by a company that wants to reposition another station in the market for some reason and had to move that frequency, or they could have been ordered by the FCC for any number of reasons. It does happen. Probably the biggest case in points that I can think of is 1190 WOWO in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which used to be 50,000 watts clear channel. And I used to listen to it at night here in Virginia and used to love WOWO. And then a company bought them and they decided that they wanted to have a frequency on 1190 in New York City. So they basically cut the power of WOWO and changed the pattern so they could put on some 10,000 watt daytime radio station in New York City. They destroyed a legendary radio station to do it. Stuff like that happens all the time. Would I recommend any particular book for you? Not even sure I know what that is. So no, I don't have a recommendation. It says CompTAA A+. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Let's see. Do I prefer rolling releases or stable releases? I prefer stable. As stable as I can get it for as long as I can run it. As a matter of fact, I've pretty much made my mind that I will stay with Linux Mint 20 on this machine and not even go to Linux Mint 21 or 20.1 rather, not 21. I'll probably go to 21 just simply because of the fact that it works. Leave it alone. Radio question. How do I feel about AM going to a digital signal? I'm a little confused on that, to tell you the truth, because I don't quite understand. I think what they're saying is that AM stations, if they elect to, can go to an all digital signal, which means they'll be able to broadcast a higher quality digital stereo signal. I think that's what that means, but it doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. So you're going to have a mix. See, right now we have a hybrid system in this country where an AM station can broadcast analog up to 5 kilohertz audio, and then above that there's a digital signal that rides on top of it, and that right now only provides like 34 kilobits in mono, and that's the best we can do. So the idea behind going all digital is that I think there's an HD standard where if you do that, if you go all digital, they can actually broadcast a much better sounding signal. I'm assuming, I'm not 100% sure, but the AM band is dying in this country, and it's dying a very slow and painful death. So something needs to be done. I actually commented to the FCC about that, and you can comment on those proposals for rulemaking. And I said, whatever you do, you got to mandate it. Don't do like what you did with AM stereo in the 80s and 90s, because they wouldn't agree on a system, and then none of the manufacturers would build the radios, so nobody knows what AM stereo sounds like today, which is really sad. And first radio station, I'd like to bring AM stereo back. Thank you very much. The first radio station that I ever worked for was AM stereo, and let me tell you what, at 12 noon, sitting in the studio, listening on the big monitors, it sounded so much better than FM ever did. It was amazing, just wide and open and clean. It was unbelievable. Nobody's heard it. When they think of AM radio, it sounds like this, and it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like a phone line. They'll find a way to use it probably similar to something Tesla was doing back in the day. Okay, I guess so. Oh, yes, AM stereo is absolutely cool. Yes, Esnix, AM is still around. Clear channel stations in each state, they actually do pretty well in their markets. Like, you go to places like Chicago and New York and big cities with big high-powered radio stations. Those stations actually do pretty good. But your little local AM station, they're dead. Let's see. Let's see here. Like, first of all, you can't rip vinyl. All right, let's get that straight up, Mr. I'm just correcting you because it's something that bugs me. This is a pet peeve. Vinyl is dubbed or transferred, not ripped. Ripped means that you take the data from a CD and put it in a file directly. You are ripping the data from the CD format. It never leaves the digital domain. No, what I do with I play my records and listen to them. There are very few of them that I've actually quote unquote digitized. The ones that have been digitized are because there's no CD alternative or no digital download available. And I do have a few that are like that. Because the honest truth is that when you copy from a record and then you put it into any digital format, it loses all that lovely analog vinyl magic anyway. So if I want a song that I have on a record and I want it on the computer, I just go find the CD or download it or something. It's just not worth the effort. But yeah. People say, yeah, it's still, I mean, AM is still around. But the thing about it is, I'm no longer ripped either. Thank you. The thing about it is just they're just not doing well. I mean, it's really hard to sell. Well, bye-bye. So yeah, it's really hard to sell. Let's see. Hang on, I'm just reading you stuff here, making sure I didn't miss anything. We did not have long wave broadcasting in this country. I used to have many radios that had it back in the days when long wave was still a thing, and I never heard a signal on it, not even once. Not even once. All right. Do I know about cybersecurity? Yes, I do. Be careful on the internet. Be as secure as possible. Actually, I know a little bit about it. I don't think that's a really good question. Really good question. Brian Daniels asks, since I DJ remotely, are the days of the live DJ numbered? No, I don't think so. I think that it's going to be I think that you're going to see a new era in radio where the definition of, let me back up and start over. Live radio has its place and its time. And then there are ways these days to create very compelling content on the air that aren't quote unquote live, but very close to it. Like, for instance, my setup here at the house, I can actually be listening to the radio station on the stream, and then I can edit what I do that will be broadcast, let's say 10, 15 minutes down the road. So it's not quite live, but it's pretty damn close. And our radio station right now, we have people who are doing shows in 3 states that do like what I do. Somebody in South Carolina, somebody in Maryland, somebody in Virginia. Well, I mean, I'm across the state from the radio station. So it's where you can get the talent and how you can put it together. And I think it's more about the product now than whether it's quote unquote live or not. Is it interesting to listen to? That's the question that you need to ask. So, like, for years, we've had these really boring voice tracks in radio stations where nobody's putting any thought into what they're doing. And it's just, okay, let's fool people into thinking we have a DJ in there, but there's not really a DJ there. All right. That needs to stop. I make no bones about it. My show is recorded. You listen to it at night. I've recorded it in the morning. But that doesn't mean that it can't be interesting, or I can't have interesting things to talk about that make you want to hear it. You know what I mean? What do I do for a living, sir? I have a hard time defining that because I have my fingers in many, many different pies. I do the YouTube channel. That provides some income. I'm working at the radio station. That provides some income. And I have some benefits that I get. And between that's what keeps me in beer and cigarette money, although I don't smoke or drink anymore. So I use my beer and cigarette money to buy audio toys. But yeah, I have a lot going on. I worked in management in radio up until 2007. I was a operations manager for many years at different clusters. And then after that, that's when the market just dropped off and everything went to hell in 2008. And after that, I've just kind of done all kinds of things. I've done I've done voiceover work. I don't know if you guys saw not too long ago, but Jackie Stallone died. That's Sylvester Stallone's mom. She was a wonderful lady. I actually was, if you called her house, I was on her answering machine for many, many years. She had a couple of businesses, so I did her phone tree. She was fun. One day I talked to her. She was sitting at an outdoor restaurant in Beverly Hills talking to Cher while she was on the phone with me. So I was kind of sad to see that she had gone. What a wonderful lady she was. What are my thoughts on Microsoft Edge coming to Linux? Well, that's interesting. Microsoft certainly is embracing Linux, aren't they? Late but here. Watch all of your live vids. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Joe, do you choose songs live or are they planned? It's a planned show as far as the music is concerned. I have no control over what songs play when. However, the way that is done is that we have music meetings and we have a consultant that helps us with research. And that tells us, between that, we figure out what we're going to play. And we feed that into a computer, which rotates everything nice and evenly to keep things nice and balanced. And there you go. That's how it works. Now, if we're doing a special programming like for Halloween or Christmas or something like that, then we add in the holiday favorites. And then on Fridays at the radio station, we're doing a thing called Southern Fried Friday, where we play a lot of classic rock and blues and Texas rock and stuff that is not on mainstream country radio. And we mix all that up together. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't have any problem with the music that I play. Let me put it that way. That's why I try to meet you to your next live stream. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you subbed for the live stream. I apologize. It's been like months since I've done. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, Sean Connery died as well. It's very sad. This has been a sad year. We've lost a lot of people. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see what I've got here. Can I set up a second drive in VirtualBox's home partition and use it on other VB OS install? Yes, you can. It's like a dual boot. And as long as you can, I think you can do it across virtual machines. That's a good question, but I've never done it. Let's see. Well, I have a voice. I don't know how nice it is, but thank you for the nice, you know. Let's see. What else do we have here? Keep on going. Hello, sir. 5 p.m. in Ohio. That's nice. Guess what? It's 5 p.m. here too. Could I offer a book about scripting? No, not directly. I'm sure there's plenty out there. I just haven't read them. The Linux command line goes very deeply into scripting, and pretty much everything you'll ever need to know is in there. That's by William Schatz. And it's a book called The Linux Command Line. You can download it. If you want to get into Python or R or any of the other languages, then there are books about that as well. Look for the No Starch Press, which is a company that puts out a lot of books about Linux and different languages. You know, love my videos. Thank you very much. What is my preferred Linux distribution? You probably get, well, okay. Yeah, I do get asked that a lot. I like Ubuntu and Linux Mint. Those are the two that I always end up using, and I switch back and forth, and it depends on the machine, and it depends on what the machine is doing. Like right now in my house, I have two Ubuntu laptops. This machine is running Linux Mint 20, set up the way I like it. It looks like Linux Mint 17.3. It's the way I themed it up. And I'm really enjoying using Cinnamon. And then I have an Ubuntu server running that is just like a file server. Let's see. Going around the world from Red Hat and Ubuntu, I've set it on the plain old Debian for most. I would love to love Debian. I really would, because I have a lot of respect for what Debian does. but Debian always burns me when I try and set it up. Either I run into a problem where it's not working with some hardware, or there's some piece of software I don't have that's hard to get. And I mean, I know you can snap just about anything, right? Right. Yeah, there's David. There's my brother there. Say hi to David, everybody. He's in North Carolina. Yes. Yes, it's a great book. I love it. Love it. Love it so. Let's see. Yeah, I thought about that interview. That's funny. You must be as old as I am. The Barbara Walters interview. Yeah, he said something about smacking women in that and got into a whole bunch of trouble. Manjaro Cinnamon. That's a cool distribution of Linux. I got nothing against Manjaro, gang. Nothing. Lemonade. That cool, refreshing drink. Let's see. 47. Well, I just turned 50. I'm old. I'm officially old. Let's see. I am in India. It's 3:40 a.m. there. Love your vids and voice. Thank you very much. You must be bored, more bored than I am today. If you're watching this stuff, man, that's awesome. Hey there. John Spoonamore is in love with LMDE4. I got to say, that is an awesome distribution of Linux. I could run that easy. I think I had a hardware problem when I tried to install that. And that's the Debian issue I'm talking about. It just doesn't like something in this old machine. 2 o'clock in the morning where you are. All right. Yeah, I see we got some oldsters around. 56 next month. We've got my brother there. He's 55. Any thoughts on Farron OS? Looked at it once. I thought it was like Frankenstein. We're talking about Farron OS now. Don't quite get it. So I just kind of left it alone. That's the way I feel about Zorin as well, is just looked at it once or twice, went, no, this isn't for me, and moved on. I really, like I said, I like Ubuntu, I like Linux Mint, and I like Debian, because they're all, people say Ubuntu is based on Debian. That's true. But it's almost getting to a place where if you know how these distributions are made, that Linux Mint, Debian, and Ubuntu are all being developed alongside each other. It's not just like it comes down and there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of feedback that comes from Ubuntu to Debian, and it goes both ways. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's pretty cool. 11 a.m. in New Zealand. It's also tomorrow. Yeah, it's Monday there. You don't have to work. Love Ubuntu. That's good. Thanks a lot of Joe Collins here in Texas as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You think you're old? Nah. 441 in dog years. Oh, let's see. Something about hiding script and music code files. I'm not really sure what that is. I gotta check it to see if I'm still. Yeah, I'm good. I'm centered. Okay. Make sure the camera image looks nice. I forget I'm on camera. Hope I haven't done anything like nasty. Your camera on you, dude. Man, don't do that. Let's see. Watch all the videos in your 71. Thank you very much. Does the hardware you tried to install Debian had legacy NVIDIA graphics? Yeah, actually it does. Legacy 390 driver always broke my. I need 340 on this machine. Yep. That was the problem. That and Wi-Fi for some reason, even though I don't know what was going on. I couldn't get it to work, and I moved on. I have a kind of a rule when I'm fooling around with stuff. And I think it's a good rule for people to adopt who play around with computers and anything. Give yourself an hour and say, okay, I'm going to try and get this working in an hour. And if I don't get it working in an hour, I'm going to move on and do something else. because past that point, usually things get very, very frustrating, and it's not worth it. It gets past the fun, just leaks completely out of it. So if I can't get it going in an hour, and it's just fighting me every step of the way, I just give up and go to something I know works. You know what I mean? Let's see. I've tried any window manager instead of desktop. No, I'm not a window manager person. I know why. I understand the appeal of them, and I've watched lots of videos about different window managers and things like that. I really like a full desktop experience. I'm very spoiled having the computer do things for me, and I just don't think that's going to be something that I don't think I could get used to that. I really don't. So let's see, what have we got here? All right. Not a lot of, and Linux, why not work at a software company as a software engineer? Just curious. Number one, have you ever seen the way people work in those environments? They have to stare at a screen all day. And I have an eye condition that makes it where I cannot look at this screen for more than an hour at a time without having to be able to walk away from it. And I did go to work for a computer company, and my job there was as an accelerated technician. I was the top tier. So if you called about something that was broken in your computer and the regular people couldn't fix it, they'd send it to us, and I couldn't do the job. I had to quit because everything was done on a computer, and it was constant typing. And between the eye condition and dyslexia, I could not keep up. And then one day I just passed out at work, and that was it. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor looked and said, "You can't do that." And I said, "Okay." And that was the end of that. So I have to do things that I can do. You know what I mean? Let's see. Hold on. New to me shell commands. No, I pretty much use the same stuff all the time. If I come up with a bunch of new stuff, I'll put it in there. I always, you know what really surprises me about the commands in the Linux shell? And that is that simple commands that you think, well, this is semi-useless, becomes very useful. Like the other day, I actually needed to use the date command because I had set up this server and I could not remember whether I had set up NTP on it. And of course, I had to use date to check the time, right? And I thought, wow, I really needed that command. Of course, I hadn't set up NTP. So it was like, all right, well, I need to set up NTP. But it was just, that's what amazes me about it, is like stupid commands like touch and date and really simple stuff all of a sudden becomes really useful when you need them. Sorry for the ignorance. What is a window manager? A window manager is it's all it does is control the application windows. It's not really a desktop. It doesn't necessarily have icons. They have tiling window managers. They're very simplified. And in the early days before desktops, I mean, like way back in the 80s when people were using X on Unix, that's how you managed Windows and graphic programs. And this was before, we're talking about when Mac was being developed. And this was way before Windows, when Xerox and Mac were working on desktops. So it's pretty old. The window manager still runs in your system, but the desktop is way more, it's doing way more with it. I've done a lot of videos about scripting. They're on there. I got a series about scripting that I never really finished. I did about 4 of them because I'm answering this question here. It says, can you create videos about scripting? I got about 4 on there that go about as far with it as I wanted to go with it. And I was going to do more. And I just did a video not too long ago where I was talking about using case menus, which is something that I hadn't really covered that great deal. So, you know. So let's see. Oh, we got a long one. Any chance you might do a few videos on your record collection? I always enjoyed watching the videos you did 10 odd years ago when you began to build your collection again. You know what? I have thought about doing that, and what I need is a camera. I did a video today about the speakers, and I did it on a phone, and it's not my phone, and it's a new phone, and I thought it would have a great camera in it. I didn't like the camera at all. I didn't like the sound on that video either. So I'm sorry about that, gang. And what I've got to find a camera that is relatively decently priced. And the one thing that it needs to do, because I hate editing video, is allow me to pause while I'm recording. In other words, take a shot, pause, take a shot, pause. Because I can do that with a phone, but I can't do that with a lot of the cameras I see. So when I ever get to that point, I'll start doing those kind of videos again. I really want to start doing more videos about things other than Linux on this channel. Just kind of spread it out a little bit more. What would be a good distro to install on a 2010 Mac Mini? I don't know. Macs are difficult to get Linux going on. It's not as easy as it is when you're working with regular x86 software. What I would do is, Ubuntu is really easy to get going on Macs sometimes, depending on your hardware. So I would look for somebody's, anytime that you want to install Linux on any computer, if you look it up by model number and you say install Ubuntu on Mac Mini 2010, if you search that, you're going to get people with tutorials, experiences, telling you how to do it. Do that and see what it comes up with. Yeah. So, my brother says they don't make a camera like that. David, my brother said, get OpenShot. I know you're a big fan. And Matt Hartley, by the way, is the community manager at OpenHeart. You remember our friend Matt Hartley here at the channel? That's what he's doing these days. He was doing a new thing on YouTube called Old School. Any of you guys see that? Matt Hartley doing something new called Old School. Have I played around with the Raspberry Pi? Somebody asked that early on in this stream. I don't fool around with Pis. I really don't have a reason to. And I'm too busy working to play around with a whole bunch of hardware. So, do not apologize for duplicating what you did not hear in a live broadcast that I said when there was probably 10 people listening. I don't even know how many people are streaming this thing. Can anybody see how many people are watching and post it? Because I'd have to switch screens. Hold on, I can do that, can I? No, I can't see that because of the way I've got this thing blown up. How many people are watching? 96, 97. Oh, well, that's not bad considering that I didn't even... It's not bad considering that I didn't even announce that I was doing this. Audio quality okay on this and everything, gang? Well, hello, just tuned in. I had 115 at one point, 110 earlier. Well, I must have pissed somebody off. Oh, hello, Southeast Asia. Thank you for tuning in, certainly. Well, we'll kind of hang around here. Let's see. I don't even know how long we've been on, man. I paid no attention. I just got a wild, and decided, well, let's plug this in and turn it on and see what happens. So I've been on for 57 minutes. All right, we'll give this here maybe another 15. Well, you know what? Those people who thumbs down can kiss it. You know what, gang? I found out something a long time ago. Let me pass it on to you. Do you know that dislikes on YouTube don't mean anything at all? And as a matter of fact, the way YouTube looks at it, it's just interaction. So if somebody puts 30 dislikes on my video, I don't care because it just means that I did something to get their attention. That's it. You know what I mean? Well, it'd be all right if you were one of them, David. I wouldn't put it past you. Yeah, exactly. It's all engagement. And every comment is engagement, even if they're nasty. It's funny. Likes and dislikes count. It's just that if you did that on a video. So if you see a video that's really atrocious and you hate it, don't do anything to it. It's the best thing that you can do. Don't comment. Don't put anything on it. Don't dislike it because to them, it's all the same. Let's see, doing a tutorial about system programming, and I do not know how to program in C. That is above my pay grade. I learned how to write scripts in Bash, and once it gets so complicated that it becomes something that would probably be better written in Python, C, or R, or some other language like that, then I'm like, it's gone. 64 likes. Okay. You know, what's really cool about these videos is that the live part's great, but what's really great about them is when you're done and they post as a new video. See, this video will get a whole hell of a lot more views than the one that I posted about speakers. You know what I mean? Let's see. Any more questions out there, gang? I'm here for your questions, man. So yeah, 67 likes so far just on the live stream itself. Thank you, John Spoonamore. Is John still here? Thank you for showing up. I was just going to do it and try and, now that I've got it where I can actually see the damn comments, which is the problem that I had before. Here we go. Got, some people are hanging up. No, I don't do pies. Third question asked about that. You're still there. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Questions, gang. Get them in fast. Hey, more people. Hey. How many backup copies of your precious FLAC files do you have? Well, I store everything in MP3, believe it or not. My entire music collection is in MP3 because I have about 40,000. And I maintain 3 copies at all times, and it's all synced up. I have an online server. I have an offline backup drive that's backed up once a week, and then I have a copy in the machine that I use the stuff in. No, there's not a whole lot of news that's got me excited with Linux lately, which is one of the reasons that I haven't been posting videos about Linux, because it just does not seem to be a whole, it's doing its thing. It's doing what it needs to do, but Linux is not getting headlines. It's kind of weird. How many backup? Okay, I read that question. Do you like KDE, also GTK or QT? Okay, that's a good, fair question. I used to hate KDE 4, wouldn't go anywhere near it, wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. KDE 5 turned out to be a better experience. I played with it. I actually ran it for a while. It was still a little bit more shaky than I like, but generally I like KDE. I think they've done a lot to make it less complex, and it's become more manageable. As far as GTK versus QT, I don't care. It's just whatever works best. Have you ever thought about uploading your content to library? No, I have not. And the reason why is because I have my fingers in a lot of pies, and I really don't want to start dealing with another video account. Yeah, we'll wait. I'm not going to say bad things about library, but I've seen a lot of stuff like that come and go, and I'm just watching it from afar. How many hard disks? Let's see. What was the question? It moved. How many hard disks and what's the size? Oh, like I have a bunch of 500s and a couple of terabytes. Depends on, I really only have about 200 gigabytes worth of data that I maintain. And that includes the videos and the songs and things like that. I'm not as much of a data pack rat as some people are. I know some people out there have terabytes and terabytes of stuff. Is it possible to compress a backup to fit in a smaller device? Yes, if you have compressible material, it is. You could do that in a tar file. You could do tar-gz. There's there's ways to do that. You can actually use the rsync command and set it up to do that. The thing is that if you're already dealing with things like MP3s, MP4s, or FLAC files, they're compressed as far as they're going to go. So if you're talking about doing that to backup media files, even JPEGs, picture files, they won't compress anymore. So it is what it is. So it becomes a matter of is this going to be efficient enough to make it worth my time? Now, if you're doing all like text and other kinds of files, you'd be surprised how tight you can squeeze it. Now, the alternative says he's got 4 different copies of his music. Let's see here. Let's see. Having a ball with Debian. Good for you. And I mean that sincerely. Old Steve Jobs looking type. I don't think so. Well, let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody posted here, it said, I thought MP3s were a radio processing nightmare. Low bitrate MP3s are. But when you get up, if you're using a lame encoder set up properly, anything above 192, you're going to be really, really hard pressed to hear any difference on the air or in person. So, yeah, hold on just one second. I am doing a live YouTube stream right now. My daughter just came home, so she just walked in the door. She'll probably be walking behind us. What are my thoughts on MS Windows subsystem for Linux? I posted a video about that at one point, and I said negative things. I said that I thought maybe that it was more embrace extend happening from whatever, and that it would keep people from using Linux in its purest form. I have since revised my thoughts because some movers and shakers in the business are telling me now that because Linux is available on Windows, that it is becoming a more appealing tool to do certain work by certain people who otherwise would never have used it. So maybe I got to go back and rethink about that. Let's see. Saw a nice review on Budgie and liked the look. I played with Budgie for a while. Let's see. Okay, do I see dreams? Yeah. Okay. I'm not quite sure what that question's about. I got to skip. We'll just move on from that one. I wouldn't have anything Apple near me either. Me neither. Let's see. Let's see. What do we got here? What are the tips to be secure on Ubuntu? The best thing that you can do to be secure, and I hate to say this, is run an ad blocker on your browser. Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Debian, most Linux distributions do a wonderful job of keeping nasties out because the security in Linux is better, and keep your machine up to date and you're fine, right? But the dangerous part is your browser at this point. And a lot of stuff creeps in through ad channels. So you run an ad blocker, and that keeps a lot of stuff out and keeps the performance up. However, I would ask nicely that if you would like to support people on YouTube, make an exception for YouTube and watch a few ads. I know that's hard for some people to do, but yes. uBlock Origin is very good. That's what I use as well. Been using it for years. Somebody's doing homework. Okay, well, you have fun, cousin. Your last name's Collins. You have fun there. Go on. The Brave browser has some issues, and somebody brought that up, and I get that question. Do I ever use the Brave browser? Why don't they just put it in a deb file so I can install it instead of... Never mind. It's too complex. Well, yeah, AdBlock might be wonky lately simply because of the fact that Google is trying to figure ways around it. People who do Firefox. Let's see. Pi-hole's good. Yes, it is. Pi-hole is very good for that sort of thing. All right, gang. Let's see. We got any more questions? Antics 19. No, I didn't know what that was. No, that's not something I'm familiar with. Can't answer the question. Leaked XP source code? I didn't hear about that. Here's some source code from a completely dead operating system that's insecure and you wouldn't want to use anyway. Why should they care, to tell you the truth? Source code was leaked from XP. That is wild. No, I don't use power backup. I probably should, but I don't. Never had a problem with that though. In my neighborhood, I can anticipate power outages, and I know when it's going to be rocky. So no, I don't. I didn't do any spooky movies. I didn't do anything for Halloween except eat candy and put on some pounds. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling it. Last round of questions. Get your questions in now because we're about to shut this thing down. You know, I've been saying to myself, the alternative says I still need to get a UPS. I've been saying that for years. I don't do it. I just don't. So, you know, what are my plans for the channel in general? I have none. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm a little sour on the YouTube experience right now, and it's hard for me to come up with new things to do that I don't know how to put this. I feel like with Linux, I've pretty much covered everything there is to say. And I've taught everything that I have to teach because now, I mean, this is what I've taught what I use every day. I've taught, there's a whole lot more to Linux. And I really wish I had the time to do the research necessary to come up with stuff. You know, like a lot of people ask me to do things that I can't talk about intelligently because I don't know. And I don't have the time because of other things that I'm doing to really research these things and speak intelligently on the subject. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We used to have full UPS. We used to have power conditioning systems for our radio studios and radio stations that would keep the entire studios up for hours and hours. Just happened to pop in right when you started. Well, you're very welcome, and thank you, Brian, for hanging out with us. I certainly do appreciate it. Is persistence a new feature in distros? To recall works. I'm not sure what that is. That's one I haven't heard from before. Truthfully. That's an interesting question here. If I had enough time and resources, what hobby would I follow purely based on internet other than existing ones? If I was in a place where I could have a workshop, which I do not have now, I would probably do electronics restoration, turntables, things like that. And there's several channels on YouTube that I watch and follow almost religiously. But I don't have the workshop, and I don't have the tools, and I don't have the space. I am waiting for my daughter to graduate high school. And when she graduates high school, I'm out of this house. I've been here for a while, and it's very small. We live in town. We don't have much of a backyard, blah, 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 blah. I want to move a little bit further out in the country. And when I do that, hopefully I'll have a little bit more space and I can do some more interesting things, you know? Persistence, a way to save data and settings between reboots on live. On live. Okay, so you're talking about a USB stick. You're talking about a persistence. No, that's been around for a while. If you could set that up, that's been around for a very long time. Now I know what you're talking about. I thought it was some new feature. It's been around for a while, and it's useful. The only problem is that I've actually had people who ask me Linux questions, and that's what they're using for their Linux distribution is they have a USB stick with persistence, and they're saying, oh, well, this doesn't work. And well, that's why it doesn't work. Okay, one of the things you need to understand about live environments is that they are a hack. It is a Linux hack that allows people to test Linux before they use it. It's the only operating system that does that is Linux. And it gives you about 80% of a full desktop environment, but then there are certain services and things that aren't running. So big programs don't run. So persistence is useful, or a USB stick like that if you're going to do really simple stuff like set up hard drives and computers or things like that. But if you're trying to run video editing software on it or something, it's not going to work very well. You know? Hi, how am I? Well, I'm fine. How are you? Not a USB. Budgie has persistence on a Linux PC. Well, I mean, then I don't understand what that is, because on a PC, you save your files. I mean, if you're talking about the desktop remembering what you were doing, that's been in KDE for years, and you can switch that on in other ones, you know. Multiple drives is the way. So, yeah, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last round of questions. I know I said that earlier, but if you got another one, I don't want to jump out on you. So if you've been waiting in the wings, just trying to ask, now is your opportunity. And the sound that you're hearing in the background is my cat, who has found something to play with on the floor. Nice to meet you too. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Well, thank you from Mexico. Have I ever used Linux Mint Debian Edition? Yes, I contributed to Linux Mint Debian Edition. I don't use it on a daily basis. I'm using Linux Mint 20 at the moment. There was a period in time when I didn't use Linux Mint at all for about 2 or 3 years and stuck exclusively to Ubuntu, but Linux Mint 20 kind of roped me in. What you have on the burner for Thanksgiving? Nothing at this point. We don't even know how we're going to do Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving this year, because of all this COVID stuff, is going to be me going out to the store and getting one of those Genio turkey loaves and throwing it in the oven and making some mashed potatoes. That's going to be Thanksgiving, y'all. I have Ubuntu loaded on all one partition and want to go back and forth to split up 2 different partitions of any form. Do you have a vid on that? No, I don't, because that constitutes dual boot. And I don't do anything that has anything to do with dual boots. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm sending out over Ethernet. The last couple of times I've done this, I did this on Wi-Fi, and I did have some glitches because of the Wi-Fi, but today we're all Ethernet, so shouldn't be anything on my end. Can I post a video on troubleshooting from the command line? I do most of my troubleshooting from the command line. It depends on what you're troubleshooting if you can do it from the command line. What distro do I recommend for an old computer for 2013? Depends on the processor, depends on what you need it to do, and it will depend on how much memory is in the computer. If it's a low memory machine, Ubuntu Mate is an excellent choice. That runs on just about anything. Joe, let's see, stopped loading on Mint 2004. Any suggestions? Not sure what that is. Sorry, I can't help you. You got me loving Linux Mint from the old school 2016 videos. Thank you. I am king. Hail to the king. Thank you, John Spoon and more. I had to disable hardware acceleration on Chromium to solve a problem with full screaming videos. full screening videos, have I come across this bug. No, I actually use hardware acceleration on Google Chrome and never had a problem with it. That might be something in particular with your video card. If you disabled it and it works and it's doing what it's supposed to do, no sweat. Just do it in the future. I've had to do that in the past. Want to uninstall on the same drive, just separate partitions for, oh, you have to start over. There is a way to do that, and I do have a video up for that. I know what you're talking about now. Now it makes sense. So let me make sure that I'm Eric 1. What you would do is I have a video called "Moving to a New Home," and it's in the title. It is /home, and you might be able to use that procedure to do it. It's an old video, but it should still hold true for today. Let's see if we have any more questions. What? When you close your PC, do you lose your workspaces, preferences, and recall your workspaces? How many distros do this? When I don't, you're talking about if it suspends, you should go back to exactly where you were. I don't really have a problem with that. What I have had a problem with lately, and I don't know why this is, and I'm not the only one having this problem, is that if I leave the Google Chrome browser up and then I let the machine fall asleep, when I come back, Google Chrome is trashed. It's like the video is all over the place, and what I have to do is actually close Google Chrome, and sometimes I have to log out and log back in before I can make it useful. It's like nothing renders right on the screen. It goes crazy. Has anybody else had that problem? That was a good question. Do I think the recent return of AMD would force NVIDIA to open source their drivers? I hope it does. Honestly, AMD has, there was a time that I caught a lot of heat for saying that AMD sucked on Linux. And that was like 5 years ago. If you were dealing with older AMD hardware 5, 10, 15 years ago now, they're terrible on Linux. And now what are they? They're amazing. Works out of the box. It's beautiful. Gotta go. Bye. See you later. I'm getting ready to hang this up myself. Let's see. Speaking of NVIDIA, I can't wait to see what the NVIDIA buyout of ARM is going to do for the PC industry. Yeah, that's something worth watching. It's certainly because of, you dump Chrome because of it hanging. I am so invested in Chrome, gang. It's unbelievable. I use the sync services. I use a lot of Google services. I have a lot of plugins installed. I use it for work because we have a lot of Amazon services that we use for work, and they work just out of the box on Chrome. I really don't see me going to any other browser anytime soon, honestly. You're welcome for the live stream. I don't know why. I just decided to give it a shot. I haven't done it in quite some time. So this went really well. We'll do more of these, and it won't be like, 6 months. Okay, I promise. This was actually quite easy. I think I'm using the microphone on the camera, but that's fine. So as long as it sounds good, it's all right. Yeah, I always run my updates, man. Always run my updates. Hey, I enjoyed hanging out with you guys, really, honestly. Like I said, I did that video earlier today, and I was kind of like, man, I need to talk to some people. Well, we do surprising stuff every now and again, that's for sure. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to the stream. And what's really cool is that this stream will, of course, become a video once it's done. And if you missed like 3/4 of the beginning, you certainly are welcome to come back and watch the video, and we'll do it again. Thank you to everybody. Next time I will try. Thank you, John. I promise, John, the next time I do this, I'll give you a heads up. I won't do. I just I thought about doing it, and I thought John's busy. John is my moderator, and he's been very kind. He's done every one of these streams that we've done. So thank you very much. Let's see. I'm just reading your stuff here as it goes by. This is such a better setup, and this is so much easier. Thank you, everybody. This is very cool. I wish you could see what I'm seeing right now because I've got you big as a teleprompter, and it's working great. All right, that's enough. I gotta say goodbye now. I'm going to end the stream. We will do this again soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you once again. Next time, I'll give you a little warning, give you a little heads up. Maybe we'll try and make this into a series if you guys are into it. So it's been fun. See ya. Yes, I really want to end